Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Really enjoyed that. I was nervous as a Golovkin fan throughout the fight, but really enjoyed it. Credit to both Ryota Murata and Gennady Golovkin. Let's not forget as well, Ryota Murata hasn't fought since December 2019, Golovkin since December 2020. So both of them have been out the ring for a long time. You wouldn't know it from the first round. They went at it immediately and went at it completely up until, what was it, round 9 when Golovkin got the stoppage, the corner throw and the towel in. Let's go through the fight. Look, as I'm watching it, I'm watching the fight, A, as a massive Golovkin fan, so I get very anxious every time I see him get hurt now, really do. And B, I'm watching it because we are trying to build up to a Canelo Trilogy. So I'm watching it thinking, okay, have we seen enough from Golovkin in this performance to want a Canelo Trilogy? Because I guess to want it, you've almost got to think, or almost got to want there to be a bit of jeopardy for Canelo. You don't want at this stage of Canelo's career, when he's obviously chasing sort of GOAT status, for him to be having fights with guys that are not really going to offer much back. I think we saw enough, to show that Golovkin will still cause him some problems. Look, you make a Canelo favourite, obviously. You make Canelo favourite against bloody anyone right now. But I think we saw enough in there, for me anyway, to think, okay, Golovkin, once he gets going, and it does take a while for him to get going, there's still a bloody good boxer there and a very hard puncher. I think Murata sort of found that out the hard way this afternoon. How good was it as well, by the way, to have afternoon boxing? Just nice, like the time's what? Time's just coming up to 2 o'clock. That's great. I really enjoyed it. Maybe the American didn't, because I think it's like 7 in the morning in America. This is what we normally do for your big fights, so don't complain. All right, let's talk about the fight in its entirety. Look, a lot of credit has to go to Murata, who obviously just thought, you know what, we're going to bring it. We've looked at Golovkin's last couple of fights and he's been hurt to the body. So what we're going to do, we're going to attack that body. And I have to admit, he attacked it well to the point where I was tweeting, shit, Golovkin looks old. Like, he attacked it so well. You could, what he did, which was smart, was because he hurt Golovkin to the body early, Golovkin then crouched up and it left Golovkin's head open. And it's almost like Golovkin trusts his punch resistance to the head so much, he's almost given that up. He's like, okay, look, you're not going to hurt me to the body. You can take the head, but you're not hurting me to the body. We got no head movement from Golovkin whatsoever. So there were times when Golovkin, very reminiscent of that Derevanchenko fight, was just sitting there like a sitting duck. And Murata at times was walking him down and teeing off on him. And I was like, this looks like it's going to go one way. Honestly, I was getting nervous. Maybe I was just jumping to conclusions, but I was like, okay, this is going to go one way. Murata looks tough. He's taken a couple of Golovkin's punches. He's the younger of the two, not by much, by the way. Murata's 36, but he's the younger of the two, the fresher of the two, definitely. And I thought, this is just going to go one way. He's going to stop Golovkin to the body. It looked like that. Then Golovkin started to then work him out a little bit, started to push him back. One critique that I have over Golovkin, he's not a good back foot fighter. And I've only realised that in his last 3 or 4 fights because he's fought people that have pushed him back. Like, I never noticed it throughout, you know, the back end of his amateur career when I started finding out about Golovkin and his first 30, whatever it was, pro fights, because he's always the guy that's pushing people back. Once he's on the back foot, it's not very good. It's not very clean. He goes back in straight lines, doesn't go back in angles. Look, who am I to critique Golovkin? But I'm just trying to find one thing I don't like. Once he started taking centre of the ring again, though, he has, even now at 40, by far the best jab in boxing. Because it's not a jab that's a rangefinder. It's not a jab that's just there to land the right hand. It's a jab that is like a right hand. He throws that jab like a ramrod and it started to land on Murata. And it started to cause Murata a bit of problems here. Murata got a cut and a bit of swelling here and then swelling over the eyes. But then Golovkin landed that massive right hand. I think it was round 5 or 6, which knocked out the gum shield of Murata, and it was done from there. And again, credit to Murata. He had those little moments in the fight, 20-second burst, but that's all we had for about 3 or 4 rounds, 20-second burst. There can't be a worse boxer on planet Earth, even now at 40, to be sitting on the ropes and taking shots at like that. Like, there was a time when Murata was sitting on the ropes and Golovkin was like, really? You want to sit on the ropes with me? And Golovkin's left hook is mean. The right hands are mean. He has that left hook which almost as like an illegal punch where he lands in your temple there. His uppercuts, the body shots. He's still got enough in the tank for me, Golovkin. I mean, again, how good's Murata? Is Murata a top 5, 6 middleweight? I don't know if you do. If you do have Murata as a top 5 or 6 middleweight, then Golovkin has just stopped a top 5, 6 middleweight. And that deserves some plaudits. That deserves some credit. Murata, a good amateur as well. He's a good boxer. I saw enough in Murata there that, look, Murata, if he can overcome this, there's enough in there for me to see Murata in some good fights. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Murata versus Chris Eubank Jr. A lot of people said, oh, Golovkin versus Eubank Jr. The problem that Eubank will have is that Eubank, I don't think, can hurt Golovkin. Honestly, I don't think he's got the power to hurt him. He's got some power, whereas I know, and as much as Eubank's got a chin, I know Golovkin can hurt Eubank Jr. because Golovkin still hits. I mean, he's got dynamite in both hands. He really has. Look, his feet are slow. We know this. He did look a bit stiff. Look, he's 40. He's 40. He's not a Bernard Hopkins 40. He's not a Floyd Mayweather 40. He's 40 and he's a bit stiff. He's a bit stiff, but he's always kind of been like that. The punch resistance, especially to the body's gone. To the head is still there. I don't know. I'm not quite sure about the Canelo trilogy. Now I'm thinking about it. Look, Canelo is getting better. Canelo will probably be the naturally bigger guy on the night. I know people might say obviously bigger, but I don't know if he's naturally bigger. I don't know if Canelo walks around bigger than Golovkin. I'm not quite sure. But look, I mean, you got to give Gennady Golovkin a lot of plaudits. What I will say, I do miss the Abel Sanchez Golovkin link up. Like, I've not seen much, I don't think, in Jonathan Banks yet, and I almost feel like it's too late. Like, Jonathan Banks having Golovkin at like 30 would have been good, because Golovkin, like what Jonathan Banks' fighters do, or what he hasn't got many, but you know what his fighters have done in the past, they've been quite good lateral movers. He even got Klitschko moving a bit side to side. I think it's too late to instill that in Golovkin. And that's why I like the Abel Sanchez link up, because Abel Sanchez, it literally is one way and it's all steam that way. That's the way his fighters fight. It literally is front foot, aggression, and that's what Golovkin is at this stage. Trying to make Golovkin fight on the back foot and, you know, again, moving from side to side, it's just, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's just not possible. But look, fantastic matchup. Really enjoyed it. I didn't expect it to play out like the way it played out. And I guess we've got to give credit to Murata for making it like that. In the end, could it have been stopped a round earlier? I thought so. I thought he was taking some really big shots that I don't think you recover from those big shots, especially not from Golovkin, who we know is a puncher. But I think Golovkin showed there's a couple more left. Even if it's not Canelo, even if we don't get the trilogy, there's more out there for him. There's more. I mean, again, he's the unified middleweight champion. There's more out there. Look, if it is a Chris Eubank Jr. fight, then so be it. Let's have that fight in the UK. We know Golovkin will travel. He's travelled to Japan. He will travel, and he'll openly, like, there'll be no fear about him fighting Chris Eubank Jr. The only problem is the fight against Canelo generates so much more money, providing obviously that Canelo gets past Dimitri Bivol. You're potentially talking about 25 million and 5 million. But you also, if you're Golovkin, and maybe he might have to weigh this up, you're talking about beating, because I think he'll beat Chris Eubank Jr. and potentially losing to Canelo. Fighters maybe don't think like that, so maybe, I don't know. We'll see. A quick mention on, by the way, on Nakatani, who I thought looked really good as the co-main event, flyweight, massive for a flyweight. Big fights out there for him, whether it be Sonny Edwards and Julio Cesar Martinez. There's good fights out there for him, although I think he might now go to Superfly, just because far too big at the weight. He's now growing into that as well. He's 24 now. But look, those are fights that are out there for him. Overall, though, enjoyed that fight card. Really enjoyed it. It's good to see Gennady Golovkin back. My heart can't take Golovkin fighting. There's not many fighters I like better than Golovkin out there. I don't like to see him take punishment like that, especially to the body, where it looks like he's going to fold over. But it is what it is. He's 40 years of age now. What can we expect? Guys, what did you make of the performance? Do you want to see it? Do you want to see it? Yes or no? Let me know.